My schedule had been brutal for months. I was mentally drained. So, I decided to do something I hadn't done in years, go on a solo camping trip. Just 2 days off the grid, into the woods. It was early Friday morning when I packed up and hit the road toward Forest, a secluded area not far from the mountain edge. I had researched a lakeside camping spot deep in the forest. Any noise. On my way along the dirt trail, a few hours into the hike, I came across another camper. A man, probably in his late 20s. Average build. He was sitting alone. We exchanged casual hellos. He offered me some trail mix, and we talked for about 15 minutes. He told me he was also solo camping and heading toward the same lake spot I was. Small world, I said with a laugh. I'll probably be right behind you, he said. Cool. See you there, I replied, and kept moving. 3 hours later, I finally reached the spot. It was beautiful. The lake mirrored the sky, surrounded by thick pine trees that whispered with every gust of wind. I set up my tent, cooked a basic meal, and watched the sky turn orange as the sun disappeared behind the trees. The first night was calm. Peaceful. The next day, I explored the area. Hiked a little and enjoyed the silence. As night came, I started wondering about that guy. He said he'd be right behind me, yet he never showed up. Maybe he turned back. Maybe something came up. I brushed it off. Solo campers change plans all the time. I went to sleep thinking I'd probably run into him on the way back. The next morning, I packed up and started hiking back the way I came. As I neared the spot where I'd met him, the very place his tent was still there, perfectly pitched. His backpack, sleeping bag, and supplies were all untouched. There were no sign of him anywhere. I called out. Louder. I waited for almost an hour, shouting his name. Nothing. It was like he vanished. I started to feel really uneasy. I had no phone signal. Just woods all around me. Every sound in the forest felt amplified. The trees no longer felt peaceful. I walked quickly, almost running, until I reached the dirt road. Finally, one bar of signal. Enough to call the cops. When they arrived after a long time, I led them to the man's site. They searched everything. No signs of a struggle. No blood. No drag marks. No footprints other than mine. His gear was untouched, nothing stolen or moved. It looked like he had simply vanished. The police filed a missing person report, but I could tell they weren't optimistic. One officer asked if I was sure I had seen anyone at all. I was. When I got home, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I kept searching online for days, missing campers, strange disappearances, anything, but there was nothing. Sometimes I wonder, what if I had stayed a few minutes longer with him, or worse, what if I stayed one more night? I still check online missing person reports, local news. But I haven't found anything. We were 3 friends camping deep in the woods of Northern California. It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend getaway, just us, nature, and the silence of the forest. We found a perfect camping spot by a still, glassy lake. There wasn't a soul in sight. No nearby campers, no rangers, just us, the water, and the woods. It was hot that day, unusually warm, so we decided to take a dip in the lake before sunset. As we swam and joked around, I had a weird feeling, like we were being watched. I glanced across the lake. Trees. Nothing else. Still, something felt off. I brushed it off, told myself it was just the quiet messing with my head. As the sun dipped below the tree-line, we started prepping dinner over a small campfire. The mood was chilled, music playing softly from a speaker, the crackle of flames, laughter echoing into the trees. Then, just as the stars began to appear, we heard it, a splash. Not a fish, something heavy. Like a body falling into the water on the other side of the lake. We all went quiet, no one moved. I looked at my friends, their faces said what I was thinking. What the hell was that? I whispered. One of my friends stood up and shouted across the lake, "Hey! Someone there?" Nothing. Silence. No echo. No reply. Just still water and trees that suddenly felt too dark. We waited a while. Nothing happened. Eventually, we shook it off and tried to laugh it away. Maybe a deer. Maybe a fallen branch. Anything to avoid freaking out. But about an hour later, just as we were getting ready to settle in for the night, we heard it again, closer this time. By the old shower tent we'd set up just 10 feet from our camp. Another splash, but smaller, like a step. And then, we saw it. A figure. Tall. Hairy. Towering. Partially hidden in the water but caught just enough in the moonlight. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't anything we'd ever seen before. Its shoulders were wide, hunched. Its arms long. Its skin, or fur, was soaked, dripping. But what chilled me to the bone was the sound it made. A low, guttural moan, not an animal's growl, not a man's voice, something else. Then it screamed. A horrible, piercing, almost metallic screech that hit us like a shockwave. Our ears throbbed. We bolted. We didn't grab our stuff, didn't try to be quiet. We just ran straight to my friend's Ford parked up the trail. We could hear the thing behind us, not running, but pacing. Watching. We didn't dare look back. At first, the engine didn't start. Just clicked. We were dead silent. Then finally it roared to life, and we sped down the dirt road like hell itself was behind us. We didn't stop driving until we reached the highway. We pulled off onto the shoulder, locked the doors, and stayed there the whole night as our houses were too far away. No one talked, just 3 terrified people, staring into the darkness, waiting for the sun. We didn't call the cops because of obvious reasons. When morning came, we drove back. We had to. Our stuff was still there, or so we thought. When we arrived, we were speechless. Our tents were shredded like they'd been ripped by claws or a blade. The camp was trashed. Even the trees nearby had deep gashes in the bark. Whatever it was, it had come looking for us. We never went back. We still talk about it often. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still hear the scream, and I wonder if it remembers us too. I've always loved being alone in nature. The peace and quiet and the sound of my footsteps. That weekend, I had gone for a solo hike on a trail I'd done once before, just outside the city. I had camped the night before and was heading back that afternoon. It was a warm, still kind of hazy day. I had my headphones in but kept the volume low, just in case. You never know what you'll hear in the woods. I'd been walking for about an hour when I saw a man. He was standing just off the trail, like he had stopped for a break. Mid to late 30s, scruffy beard, wearing cargo pants and a loose black hoodie even though it was too warm for that. He looked like just another hiker. Nothing seemed weird at first. He smiled and gave me a small nod. "Beautiful day, huh?" he said. I smiled back, kind of politely, not stopping. "Yeah. Perfect weather." I kept walking. For a while, I didn't think anything of it. But after another half hour or so, I started feeling watched. Like that feeling where the hair on the back of your neck just knows. I stopped to drink water, and when I turned my head to glance behind me, I saw him again. The same man. He was maybe 50 yards back, walking the same trail. Still looking in my direction. My heart skipped. I told myself maybe he was just going the same way, no big deal. But something about the way he walked, Something about how close he kept getting didn't feel right. I picked up my pace. He must have noticed, because the next time I turned to look, he was much closer. Too close. I stopped, trying to stay calm. He stopped too. I'm just heading back too, he said, smiling like nothing was wrong. His voice was calm, even friendly. But my gut was screaming now. I mumbled something like okay and turned around quickly, walking fast now. Almost jogging. I could hear him behind me. His steps were heavier now. Then I felt it, a tug on my backpack. I screamed. His hand had grabbed the strap on my shoulder, trying to pull me back. I spun around and without even thinking, I reached into my side pocket and pulled out my bear spray. I sprayed it full force, right into his eyes. He let out this horrible, raspy scream, stumbling back, rubbing his face. I was crying now. Shaking. My legs felt weak. I screamed again, louder this time, hoping someone would hear me. And someone did. 2 hikers, maybe in their 40s, were coming up the trail from the other direction. They ran over when they heard me scream and saw me standing there, bear spray in hand, and the man on the ground coughing and groaning. He looked up at them and yelled, "She stole my backpack. She attacked me." I was sobbing, trying to talk. He's lying. He grabbed me. He was following me the whole way. The hikers looked at each other. One of them held the guy and told me to leave. The man still wiping his eyes, he muttered something under his breath. They asked me if I wanted to call the police, but I couldn't. I was too scared. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't even hold my phone. My throat felt raw. I just wanted to get out of there. The other man walked me all the way back to the parking lot where my car was. I thanked them 100 times. I didn't even look behind me. I just got in my car and drove straight to my apartment. I locked my door. I still don't know what happened to that man. I don't know if he called the cops like he said. I never heard from the hikers again. I know that if I hadn't brought bear spray, something worse could have happened.